All right, here we go again. Buckled up. Kind of in the noisy gym today, so I need to kind of grin and bear with the background noise. It's going to be a short workout. I got to get somewhere today. Get out here and move the leg a little bit. So I guess there's a town in, I don't remember where it is actually, maybe the Midwest or something like that, but they voted for Trump. And then there's like some, I think, Asian person that's been here in Hong Kong. She didn't get deported to Hong Kong, but she's been here like, 20 years or something, whatever it is. And she, she's pretty much a fixture in the town. Everybody knows her. I guess she works at a diner or something, serves waffles, or maybe she has a business. I don't know. But man, kind of a mess. But things like that are creeping up, and the swing voters are kind of shifting. And it's also, in other words, you're not looking at the people as far as like some of the people. I understand the concept. Again, they're stuck in the middle of something. They're not, it's not necessarily their fault. I mean, yeah, they're here and there's some issues and questions, but the situation was created irresponsibly by the government. I mean, we should have been monitoring who was working, who wasn't working. People that were in good jobs and whatnot should have been given such way. Right. Maybe some sort of temporary status, which I guess some of them also have, and then they're ending it now. Well, because again, the situation was out of control. They have to get the numbers below a certain amount because the system can't handle it. We can't even expeditiously provide, or we couldn't at least, court proceedings. And still, if we actually went by the process as it was initially intended, it would still take time too, because it's kind of rushing everything. And well, one of the dangers is you're deporting people that might be they should stay, because what happens is there's no method to the madness. It's like get them out, get them out, get them out. Right. There's going to be people down the road that are going to stay that aren't as good as the people that are here, or you may even run out of people that you would want to be here. Well, it is a key component in inflation, believe it or not. Right. When Biden took the presidency, the numbers of immigrant workers was down too far for inflation to not occur. So you don't want to get into that scenario and then like have people left that really, either aren't interested in working or are not our best people. I mean, I understand. The problem is like what you view as the best person is a millionaire, right? But for all we know, the millionaire is a narcotics distributor that's paying people off. I mean, we don't know. I'm sure it's happening. Or a multimillionaire. Well, just because they're a laborer doesn't make them not a good person. Right? And of course, some of these people have had issues in the past. Well, again, the government made the issue for these people. If you're going to keep somebody here after they're in jail for like 10 years or something, and you keep them here another 10 years, I really don't think the system, the spirit of the laws were intending to deport somebody like that when they're living a normal, well life. Essentially, it's the same government. The same. Trump is in the law. The Trump government is the same as maybe the Bush government or the Obama government. So a person establishes their life, has a wife, lived in the United States since 80 something, 89 or whatever, made a mistake, never naturalized, and now you're going to deport them, at age 40 or something, or 45. It's just, I don't think the final law is going to back that kind of thing, but I might be wrong. Because it's the same concept of DACA, essentially. The DACA people get to stay because you told them they could stay, and they built lives around it. For some reason, that's not kicking in right now. I have no idea why I couldn't get to Planet Fitness like a year ago at least. Right across the street. I should have seen the massage beds and the walking and all that. From what I can tell, the treadmills are better for walking because you'll take a longer stride. So you're actually naturally stretching over the period of time of the walk. Well, I don't think it's going to serve the government's purpose to do it the way they're doing it. And then you have to monitor crime to make sure you're not focusing too much on immigration and crime itself is increasing somewhere. Again, the fact that you're going to diminish certain programs could cause crime just to naturally occur itself. So you're setting yourself up for a need for increased enforcement. And again, if you want to be, we're tough, we understand that, we're going to do it, but again, it may not be within your capability or your your desires to, at least cut some costs. And I'm just, I went over to Blue Sky. I went over to Democrats, and there's still a liberal community, there's still a trans community. They don't seem to be as outspoken as they once were. Again, I imagine there's some paid people that were in there open it up. But you have to realize that everything's going to reverse to a certain degree. Well, what you were able to do is kind of look at people's selfishness and flip a trigger in selfishness. So again, a lot of the people that aren't getting what they want, well, right. Thank you, man. Now, to Trump's credit, he's not doing everything Elon wants, because that would make it worse. Right. Thank you, Larry. Let's see. Mess everything up here. See how loud this is. I'm on the. It's just as loud as it was out there. I'm on the massage bed. I should have never stopped my Planet Fitness membership, but I should have never stopped getting massages either. So again, they use a very high-tech program and millions of dollars in contracts and other things to do it. Some personal money, some government money, all of it racketeering, criminal enterprise. Yeah, that Osceola, whatever it is, sheriff of Florida, I got a weird vibe off of him. But he seemed to have an honest heart on some of it. He seemed a little too focused on getting rid of criminals. I don't know, it's kind of weird. I mean, not getting rid of criminals, but just had that kind of cocky attitude about it instead of that just public service attitude. But he may have been deep state. He may have been protected because he did some deep state stuff. Yeah, it does happen. It's simply you can't verbalize. Uh, that argument with Musk. It's you don't realize what you're saying. Yeah. Well, I don't know what your plan is, but there's no way that you're going to fix anything before midterms as far as everything that could have got you the votes, the extra votes are, you took out of the bill. So that no tax on Social Security, the no tax on some of that other stuff. Right. That would have helped you. They even told people that they would get a rebate from the Doge savings. That's not going to happen. They already developed the thing where you said one thing and then did another. Like you're showing both videos. So there's not a lot that's going to work as far as midterms. I mean, party. That's why I say you got to get off of X and you got to get off of that other thing. Truth. Because you're not seeing the bigger picture. When you sit with the party faithful, that's okay to build yourselves up and feel good, but kind of running a little late today. Hopefully it works out. I'm sure it will. Take care. Have a great one. Get back here later on a lot of apartment appointments. Well, what the Democrats went wrong in a different direction. The immigrant thing is becoming kind of like the trans thing, became an albatross. around the neck, I guess they call it. Right. So what I believe is, I just don't see you all changing. So, well, what happens is then they start feeling, again, it's a psychological process, and then they'll start feeling sorry for the people they didn't feel sorry for because they feel sorry for themselves in the same direction. I can't advise you because you're not going to do what I say. So, right. Thank you, Larry. We thank you for everything, Larry. Well, you promised a lot. And again, we're pretty much not in an era really where voters forget within 4 years. We've come out of that, I think, especially with all the voluminous video of the speeches and things. So, what they're doing is they're running that election year speech and then showing what you're saying now and completely the opposite. My neighbor walking her dog. Thank you, Larry. Well, well, you have billionaires advising you, which is, in certain parts of it makes sense, because they build up, business community and all that. Build. But again, a lot of these people are backs. You know how it works. You're in it. You're in something. As far as Epstein, you were in the same thing Epstein was in. West Palm Beach, whatever it was. So that, whatever that was, that's what it was. I'm not saying you were in something else, but it means this. you were made. They made you. They consistently kept you up and kept you made. You were kind of a Hollywood icon, also to a certain degree. So you were also in Hollywood. So again, you all believe sometimes a little bit too much in the wrong direction. Well, and then when he essentially started taking from him, and then Trump came along with his system, and Elon started having again. And now Trump's mad at him. I don't really believe that Elon. And again, we don't need the turmoil on again, off again. I don't know if Elon is conceding to anything. I mean, he definitely is looking for the next place to jump. The next place to jump may be back with Trump. Right. But again, what you pulled off, unless you cheated because you had so much money you could cheat. Right. But what you pulled off, basically, based upon what we already know, telling people this, telling people that, whatever it is, right? I don't think it's repeatable because now you're in Biden's shoes. Things are getting more expensive. I mean, some things, this one item, and they may have done it on purpose from the deep state. I don't know. It jumped like, thank you, Larry. It jumped like, I think like $50 or something, maybe even more. Yeah, it was like 100. 59, it was like 100 or something like that. Oh my gosh. So again, they may have done that on purpose, and they love doing that. So I gotta throw some clothes here in the dryer. Well, it's just what is humanly possible versus what's a pipe dream. Thank you, Larry. I think what they're afraid of, you have to be careful. The whole thing of moving Elon back to Trump may be the desire of the other side. Well, Elon hasn't taken care of some of the issues that we know exist. So that's going to make things whatever. Well, I think Elon's realizing that he doesn't have a system that's him making all this money. Again, that's one of the things that jumps out every so often and bites a wealthy person is they're not in by themselves. They're not making money by their own intrinsic self. Right? And some people, God isn't giving you this money; it's a system. So that system is now beating up Elon Musk. Well, he jumped to a system, and again, you have to realize Elon Musk burned through some fun. Well, he didn't have to be so vocal to begin with, and I told you, I warned you all about that. Well, he ended up burning through the big up he got. And I mean, people are watching. You got this guy named Big Balls, and you've launched a publicity campaign to say these are good people, but most people are like, most people realize until they were 30, they didn't have a clue to begin with. Right. So again, and then Peter Thiel comes up, and things are starting to come out on that. So again, they're going to say that these are just lackeys. I'm sure of it. Again, this is a seer thing of the future. Just young kid lackeys for these evil billionaires who lied about everything. Thank you, Larry. We agree, sir. The best course forward is not where we are right now. Again, I believe in a more restrained process. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, sir. And that process, again, I guess Carol Wu was one of her names. It just doesn't serve us to deport Carol Wu or Carol Wu's. Well, you're talking about, well, he missed this part of the process. Like, I didn't even know, and people have been, whether it's, property taxes or, they generally get out of it, but they've had a time in their life when there was a mistake and it cost them. And again, so you say, well, they didn't file this form or they didn't file that form. Right. And even for somebody, as far as what's right and wrong, that, you're going to say, well, this person came here illegally this many years ago, or somebody came here and didn't file this form. And, right. But they're looking at the whole thing and saying, well, this person's been here, this many years and you didn't have a problem with it before. Well, because she's not the person. All right. So there's some people stealing the American dream away from the Americans, and actually, you may not be deporting them. It may be the multimillionaires running that shit. Great, Larry. Okay, so remember, if I'm a Latino realtor, I could surmise that maybe some of my people are into drug money, trying to people buying houses from me. Okay? So that Latino realtor has no ties to organized crime, racketeering, narcotics distribution, sex trafficking, but for the fact that he takes their money when they buy something. Ugh. See? But that realtor protects that. Nobody asked them to do it. Nobody asked her to do it. But they'll protect that with everything they got. So if you come in the community and you're a law enforcement officer or a concerned citizen about that kind of thing, they might F you off and send people after you, even in a white community, because they're multimillionaires or whatever it is. Oh. Agreed, Larry. Get her out of his life. Get her and him and all of them out away from me. I'll tell you that right now. So what the spies are actually doing, Democrat and Republican, are keeping the turmoil going. The spies could be an everyday 7-Eleven employee. All the way up to an official spy. And that's what's going to cause change out. They want change out because they're constantly, they're the given steady thing that keeps getting bigger. Everybody else keeps getting smaller. Like your folks, people in the FBI for certain reasons. But I'll tell you right now, the people really responsible for all that are sitting on the side, and some of them are actually working for Trump right now. It's a scam. You've all been scammed and are being scammed, Democrat and Republican. The only way to beat it is what Harris ran on. And to a certain degree, Trump kind of ran on that. So if you didn't fit the category of people that Trump was attacking, why not come along with Trump? Because he's going to help you. Correct, Larry. Yeah. I agree, sure. So you built kind of what I call a coalition, but you're losing members of the coalition faster than George Bush did. George Bush Senior. 100%. Well, I have to understand, more everyday people make large amounts of money in the gas and oil industry than they do in the EV industry. Possibly if I had it do over again, that's where I would have went. Actually. So you can say that they're greasing the palms or whatever it is. And Elon speaks about things in kind of a weird way. Right. Well, because right. Okay, I'll come out with it. I don't know what he meant, but it sounds like Elon's saying, "You owe me, not them." Now, I don't think Elon had a problem with the EV subsidies being killed until his entire world crashed. Well, you didn't build a system that won't prosecute you all at some point. In fact, investing in the private sector. You can't say what you're saying. Thank you, Larry. And most people could care less about the Battle of the Titans. Well, Trump probably did retain certain people. It's still the immigrant thing is still hurting him. Well, when we look at white collar or blue collar workers in the oil fields and construction, well, they depend on the immigrant labor. I told you that years ago. And quite frankly, the more majority of people that have businesses, they're the ones that are actually stealing the money. But they're not being put out because you know multimillionaires and stuff. Who knows? They could have bought their citizen or something permanent during the Biden administration. You got money, you know, money talks, bullshit walks. That's true in immigration also. Well, it's just Elon has to take care of his issue. Okay, he has to do it. Well, all right. There's a couple things happening. He's being psychologically operated. He has enough money that he should be able to get out of it, but it's not showing true. So if he takes care of the issue, he might be able to get past the psychological operation. They might be able to maintain a little better. Thank you, Larry. Now he got some issues. Right. We all know that. It's just here to help, you know, here to help everything get smoother for everybody. Thank you much. Well, I mean, what's the end? I mean, what's even if Trump, you know, apparently Elon doesn't want to lose billions of dollars in contracts, and Trump already articulated it, so he might be almost impossible to do that, unless there are things that they could say. Again, they could force him to turn those companies over to somebody else, and that came up before. Again, actually, Trump probably saved him from that, right? But you can't. But you understand this: the instability still exists. Correct. So you can't just look the other way. Correct. Well, I had no idea where Elon was actually going with it because Trump's system is what he was in, and there's other people involved. There's other multimillionaires and billionaires, but they're not going to allow you to dunk Trump, right? But that's where your money's coming from.
Well, the point is, it's showing that although you might be the wealthiest man on the planet, that can disappear. The power that Trump's holding is not disappearing. Because I think it was like somebody said the most. I think it was Loomer or somebody. You know, the richest man and the most powerful man going at it. I mean, money is made by systems. I mean, you can watch Elon go up and down based upon being in a system or cursing off the system that he's in. He's not a self-made man. Nobody is. Okay? Thank you, Larry. That's why, the idea of, the poor people help make that system also. I mean, if you keep them happy and they stay in your system becomes powerful. Correct. Thank you, Larry. But then again, once you amass a certain amount of wealth, Elon wants back in, but again, that's not the way to do it. Right? He got to take care of his problem. There's nothing. He even pushed the administration in the wrong direction. I mean, right. Well, because you lacked. Okay, you have the people and your AI, but you lack the people that actually knew why the government did what it did. Like AI is stupid right now as to why government does what it does, unless you ask it maybe a direct question. Is there a cost saving? I guess this is what you do. Ask Grok, I guess, maybe, unless it's been skewed. Does the government spend money on the SNAP program and medical treatment and housing? Is there a cost saving reason they do that? And also, it should say yes. It's actually going to cost the government more money in the future. With some of what he did. And again, what you do is you keep bringing up certain programs. Well, again, I don't care. You're all not really that intelligent. And maybe you just don't care because you're multimillionaires and greater and you can just slide through anything. The greaser. They were so mad at Biden that I don't think anything could have been done. Again, and Trump had his own machines working. Musk wasn't the only billionaire working the system. And of course, Musk does have a certain star quality, but he also has a certain of other quality. Well, I don't know if the transgender issue was decided in finality because something's asking about it. I was studying some things this morning. There are less. So yeah, I think the Biden administration got the transgender people in trouble. Right. There's a lot less back and forth. I mean, obviously, there's more coming against them now. Right. But they're not like as engrossed with it. So if I had my druthers, Biden was hiring influencers or Democratic Party was hiring influencers to whoop it up. Which is stupid. Maybe even the Republicans were. I don't know. No, it almost looks like a manipulation where Elon is trying to work his way back in after they, kind of pushed him away. Well, because first off, like my brother said, Elon's brilliant. I said, not really. Look at what he's done. He's in the system. Look, I don't know where Ellison speaks to me in time and space. I forget his first name there, but billionaire Ellison, right? But he's telling me you're right. We're all in systems, and somebody took us all up. Right. Thank you. So again, that's the first thing to realize. No, what I guess Elon Musk has been quantum leaping from system to system. And the last system he in was Trump, and even though Trump put him out of the White House because there was obvious personality conflicts and he lacks the interpersonal skills to daily operate in these places, right. And that could be a problem. He's big boss, all that for so many years. But thank you, Lindsay. First off, he wasn't elected president, and he has to be careful about what he's saying because he's essentially saying, "I gave money to get something." It could be misconstrued or construed or whatever it is. But Trump's system already took care of it and boosted it. Now, he burned someone out by being so abrasive. Correct. Well, if you weren't telling people anything and acting so cocky, all of you, then it'd be a lot less going on around it.
Agreed.
Well, I don't think they destroyed his money when he stepped away. What happened is he's online, and they're putting all that stuff before him. Oh, they did this to you. They did that to you. Because like when we read it, it says they did this to Elon Musk. So Elon Musk, when he reads it, he goes, "They did this to you. They did that to you." So it's just manipulating him. So he lashes out. Right. It wasn't only that he didn't like the bill. Right. I investigated this whole thing over the last 10 years or so, how they manipulate people, including manipulate me, but I go with it. Right. And then I manipulate them from inside of it. No, you have to understand the case law side of it. I'm not going to give up on case law because what you're doing right now is you're creating case law that's going to harm you when the Democrats do. You want the Democrats to be that far in control? Trump, if they pass some of that stuff where Trump's making it executive centric, number one, they may lose in court anyway, right? But
We agree, Larry.
you're going to give that to the next president. And almost surely going to be a Democratic Party member because I can't see you moving anything that's going to fix by 4 years. The only thing that causes inflation when the government spends is that it's part of what causes inflation when people spend a lot, right? Beyond a certain point. But it also creates wages and moves the system, boosts the market. No, Biden wasn't doing terrible, but he was wasting on shit like them stupid programs, the liberal programs, the libtard stuff, right? Libtard, what should I get? Rhetoric, right? I believe in people's rights, including transgender rights, but we're not to create transgender creation programs, is what they're all becoming. Right. Thank you, Larry. Well, Biden had it close, but he just went over the line. I told him years before, stop going over, don't go over the line. Don't push the CV thing by 2030. People are like, what? I mean, if you said 2050, I'd be like, that's 2050. I ain't worried about that. And that's probably the truth of when it would happen, if it could happen.
Right.
Well, because we can't plug in cars. We're not living your lives. And like Trump's got the same problem. He's thinking we have some life similar to him or somebody he knows. Right. Even the poorest member of his family is not even close to what we live. In fact, I got people psychologically operating and psychologically torturing me for decades, taking my health care with whatever they could. And once you harass a doctor, he gets online. I don't want this patient coming around because I'm being harassed by this patient, because of this patient, not by this, because of this. And they might believe that the patient's partner. Well, I got to get going.